In the heart of a remote valley, wrapped in the soft golden light of early morning, everything seems peaceful. But danger is already slithering beneath the surface. Here, a mischievous red cow was about to wander into the most terrifying moment of her life. She wasn't a bad cow. Not at all. Just adventurous. Full of a boundless curiosity that led her to chase butterflies, sniff at strange new bushes, and always wandered just a little too far from the safety of the herd. She was spirited, playful, and utterly unaware that today her curiosity would lead her straight into the jaws of a nightmare. One moment she was nibbling on a patch of sweet clover, the next, the ground began to tremble. A deep, unsettling vibration rippled through the earth. Birds that had been chirping just seconds before suddenly fell silent, then exploded from the trees in a frantic mass. The cow froze, her ears swiveled, trying to pinpoint the source of the disturbance. Her wide, innocent eyes scanned the dense brush that bordered the pasture. A primal fear, an instinct she had never needed before, began to prickle at her skin. Then, she saw it. Emerging from the shadows of the dense undergrowth was a creature of pure terror. A massive mutant python, thicker than a tree trunk and longer than a truck, slithered into the clearing. Its scales weren't the normal pattern of a snake. They shimmered with an unnatural, eerie glow, shifting in the morning light like a dark rainbow. It moved with a terrifying silence, its colossal body gliding effortlessly over the ground. It fixed its cold, unblinking eyes on the small red cow, a stare devoid of anything but hunger. This was no ordinary predator. This was a creature born from the forgotten corners of the wild, an abomination of nature, naturally fast, impossibly silent, and absolutely deadly. Before the cow could even process the horror before her, the python lunged. It was a blur of motion, a whip crack of scaled muscle. A terrified moo, more like a scream, tore from the cow's throat as the colossal serpent struck. In an instant, her world turned into a suffocating nightmare. The python's body, powerful and relentless, coiled around her. The first loop felt like a band of steel. The second stole her breath. The third crushed her to the ground. She collapsed in a cloud of dust, her legs buckling under the immense pressure. Her playful, curious eyes, once so full of life, were now wide with pure terror. Every muscle in her body strained against the crushing force, but it was like struggling against a mountain. Her playful mischief had twisted into sheer horror, and with every passing second, every tightening coil, she was brought closer to a fate she could not escape. The world began to dim, her gasps for air becoming weaker and weaker. But her cries had not gone unnoticed. Not far away, a conservation and rescue team had been working on a perimeter fence. They were tough, experienced people, accustomed to the sounds of the wild, but this sound was different. It was a cry of pure desperation that cut through the morning calm. The team leader, a man named Coil, dropped his tools. "Did you hear that?" He yelled to his crew. They all froze, listening. It came again, weaker this time, but unmistakable. "That's a distress call. Let's move." Without a second's hesitation, they grabbed their emergency gear, heavy ropes, long steel poles, and specialized cutters. They sprinted toward the valley, their boots pounding against the earth. They knew the legends of the valley, the whispers of giant creatures that lurked in the deepest parts of the forest. They knew the strength of a normal python, and the thought of what could be causing such a sound was terrifying. But turning back was never an option. For them, every life was worth saving. "Hold on, we're coming," Coil shouted into the wind, hoping the sound would somehow reach the creature in peril. They burst into the clearing and stopped dead in their tracks. The sight was worse than anything they could have imagined. The monstrous python, its iridescent scales gleaming, had the red cow completely encased in its deadly embrace. The cow was barely moving, her breath coming in shallow, desperate wheezes. The team leader locked eyes with his crew. There was no time for a detailed plan. It was now or never. "All right, listen up," Coil barked. "Maya, you and I take the head. Distracted, keep those fangs away from us and the cow. Ben Liam on the coils. Use the poles. Find a weak point and start prying. We need to release the pressure now." They moved in, a small band of humans against a force of nature. It was a chaotic, terrifying dance. Coil and Maya waved their arms, shouting, trying to draw the python's attention. The snake's massive head swiveled toward them, its forked tongue tasting the air. It let out a hiss that sounded like a steam pipe bursting, and its head struck out with monstrous speed, snapping its jaws just inches from Maya's arm. Meanwhile, Ben and Liam jammed their steel poles into the gaps between the python's coils, using all their strength to create leverage. The snake's muscles were like solid rock. It thrashed its body, infuriated by the interference, nearly throwing the men off their feet. The ground shook with its power. It was a fight between raw human courage and nature's darkest creation. For a moment, it seemed hopeless. The coils were just too tight, the snake too strong. The cow let out a faint, gurgling sound. She was fading. "It's now or never," Coil yelled. He took a massive risk. While Maya kept the head distracted, he lunged forward, using a hooked pole to snag the python's lower jaw and pull its head sharply upward, exposing its neck. It was a desperate, dangerous move. Seizing the opportunity, Ben and Liam gave one final, coordinated heave. They put every ounce of their strength into the poles, their muscles screaming in protest. There was a sudden give, a sickening, sliding sound. With one last heroic pull, a section of the massive coils loosened. It was just enough. The red cow, gasping and spluttering, managed to scramble free from the suffocating prison. She stumbled a few feet away and collapsed, her body trembling violently. The battle was won. The python, momentarily disoriented and its prey lost, let out one last furious hiss. It saw the group of humans, saw its meal now out of reach, and with a final, resentful thrash of its tail, it retreated back into the dense forest, disappearing into the shadows from which it came. For a long moment, there was only the sound of heavy breathing from the rescuers and the cow. The red cow lay on the ground, exhausted but alive. Her sides heaved as she drew in deep, life-giving breaths. Kale knelt beside her, stroking her head gently. "It's okay, girl. You're safe now," he murmured. Her eyes, no longer filled with terror, were now dazed and confused. She was shaken to her very core, but she was safe. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, a new dawn broke over the valley, both literally and figuratively. The little red cow, with the help of her rescuers, slowly got back on her feet. She was sore, bruised, but miraculously unharmed. They guided her back toward her herd, which greeted her with a chorus of low, concerned moos. From that day on, the red cow stayed a little closer to the others. Her mischievous eyes still sparkled, but now there was a hint of wisdom in them, a deep understanding she hadn't possessed before. She had danced with death in the coils of a monster, but courage, brave, selfless human courage had brought her back from the brink, and in her survival, there lies a simple, powerful reminder for all of us. Every single life is precious. Every rescue, no matter how small or large, truly matters. Thank you for watching. If you were moved by this story of courage and survival, please like this video, subscribe to our channel for more incredible rescue stories, and share this with someone who needs a reminder of the good in the world. We'll see you next time.